The book of Revelation, also known as the Apocalypse of John, is the cornerstone of Christian eschatology. This vivid and symbolic text, found as the final book of the New Testament, envisions the ultimate triumph of good over evil and the end of the world as we know it. Written by John of Patmos during the 1st century under Roman persecution, Revelation speaks to a future where divine justice is fulfilled and the faithful are vindicated. The narrative begins with Christ revealing messages to 7 churches, urging them to persevere through tribulation. As the vision progresses, a sequence of dramatic judgments unfolds, symbolized by the breaking of 7 seals, 7 trumpets, and 7 bowls, each unleashing devastation upon the earth. Central to this apocalypse are the figures of the beast, the false prophet, and the dragon, understood as manifestations of evil political and spiritual powers, culminating in a final battle at Armageddon. Ultimately, Christ defeats these enemies and ushers in a millennial reign of peace. Following this, the final judgment occurs, where the righteous enter a new heaven and new earth, and the wicked are cast into the lake of fire. The New Jerusalem descends from heaven, an eternal city where suffering, death, and sin are no more. In this vision, the Christian apocalypse is not just about destruction, but also about redemption, renewal, and the perfect union between God and humanity. Revelation has had a profound impact on Western literature, art, and religious thought. Its symbols, the 4 horsemen, the Whore of Babylon, the number 66, continue to resonate across cultures and time periods. While interpretations vary, many Christian denominations view Revelation as both a warning and a promise that justice will be done and the faithful will be rewarded in a perfected creation. The Yuga cycle and the concept of Pralaya are central to Hindu cosmology, offering a profound vision of time as cyclical rather than linear. According to ancient Hindu texts such as the Vedas and the Puranas, the universe undergoes repeated cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction, each lasting for vast spans of time. These cycles are divided into 4 yugas or ages: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. The current age, Kali Yuga, is seen as a time of moral decay, spiritual corruption, and social disintegration. As righteousness diminishes, the conditions ripen for the end of the cycle, an event known as Pralaya. At the climax of Kali Yuga, Vishnu is prophesied to return in his 10th and final avatar as Kalki. Mounted on a white horse and wielding a blazing sword, Kalki will vanquish the wicked and restore Dharma, paving the way for a new Satya Yuga. This cosmic reset is not viewed as final annihilation, but rather as a necessary cleansing, allowing the eternal cycle to begin anew. This apocalyptic vision reflects Hinduism's emphasis on cosmic balance and the moral order of the universe. Rather than a final ending, it is part of an infinite rhythm governed by karma and divine will. The figure of Kalki serves as both a destroyer and a restorer, highlighting the dual role of divinity in Hindu theology, as both punisher of the unrighteous and redeemer of the faithful. In Islam, the Day of Judgment, known as Yawm al-Qiyamah, is a pivotal belief deeply embedded in the Quran and Hadith traditions. It describes a cataclysmic end to the world, followed by divine judgment of every soul. This eschatological narrative emphasizes both God's ultimate justice and the eternal consequences of human choices. The end times begin with a series of minor and major signs. These include societal decay, the widespread abandonment of faith, and eventually the rise of Dajjal, the Antichrist figure, who spreads deception and chaos. In response, God sends Isa back to earth to slay Dajjal and restore justice. Alongside him, the Mahdi, a messianic figure from the lineage of the Prophet Muhammad, unites the faithful and prepares humanity for the final reckoning. When the trumpet is blown by the angel Israfil, all life ceases. A second blast brings resurrection, and every soul is judged. The righteous are granted eternal bliss in paradise, while the wicked are consigned to hell. In this vision, the Islamic apocalypse is both terrifying and hopeful, a profound reminder of accountability and the promise of divine mercy. This vision of the end times reinforces the central Islamic values of faith, moral conduct, and obedience to God's commandments. It serves not just as a prophecy, but as a daily reminder to live righteously. The Quranic depiction of the apocalypse, full of awe, justice, and divine sovereignty, offers comfort to believers who endure trials in anticipation of eternal reward. Jewish eschatology, the study of end-time events in Jewish theology, is rooted in the prophetic texts of the Hebrew Bible, especially Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. It envisions a period of great tribulation, followed by the coming of the Messiah, a divinely anointed leader who ushers in an era of peace and justice. This messianic age is preceded by upheaval, war, moral collapse, and suffering, known as the birth pangs of the Messiah. At its height, the Messiah, believed to be a descendant of King David, will rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, restore Jewish sovereignty, and bring global recognition of the one true God. A key component of Jewish eschatology is the resurrection of the dead, particularly the righteous, who are said to rise to enjoy life in the world to come, or Olam Haba. Divine judgment will separate the just from the wicked, and ultimately, a perfected world of peace, wisdom, and divine closeness will emerge. While interpretations differ among Jewish denominations, the apocalypse in Judaism is generally viewed as a transformative process rather than a destructive one. It emphasizes the fulfillment of God's covenant with his people and the hope of ultimate redemption, not only for Israel, but for all of humanity. The fifth sun apocalypse forms a central theme in Aztec mythology. The Aztecs believed that the world had been created and destroyed 4 times before, each age ending in a cataclysm tied to elemental forces, jaguars, wind, fire, and floods. The current world, the fifth sun, is seen as similarly temporary, destined to end in earthquakes. This cycle of destruction and renewal was maintained through divine sacrifice. The gods, in order to create the fifth sun, sacrificed themselves. In turn, humanity was required to offer regular sacrifices, including human lives, to keep the universe in balance. Without this nourishment, the cosmos would collapse. The Aztec apocalypse is deeply moral and symbolic. It underscores humanity's responsibility in maintaining cosmic harmony and reflects the Aztec understanding of time as unstable and cyclical. Their rituals, architecture, and daily life were suffused with this ever-present awareness that the end could come at any moment unless the gods were honored and the cosmic order preserved. The belief in inevitable destruction also mirrored the volatile environment the Aztecs lived in: earthquakes, volcanoes, and warfare. In their worldview, apocalypse was not a distant fantasy, but an ever-present reality woven into the very fabric of existence, demanding vigilance, reverence, and sacrifice. Ragnarok, meaning fate of the gods, is the Norse vision of the apocalypse. It is a future event foretold in the poetic and prose Eddas, epic poems of pre-Christian Scandinavia. Unlike linear narratives of history, Ragnarok is both an end and a beginning, an essential turning point in the eternal cycle of destruction and rebirth. The signs of Ragnarok include Fimbulwinter, a devastating endless winter, and moral collapse across the world. Chaos erupts as monsters break free: Fenrir the giant wolf, Jormungandr the world serpent, and Loki the trickster god. They join the forces of chaos to fight the Aesir gods in a final battle at Vigrid. Odin is devoured by Fenrir. Thor slays Jormungandr but dies from its poison. The world burns and is swallowed by the sea. Yet from this destruction, life begins anew. 2 humans survive in a sacred grove, and the earth re-emerges, green and fertile. Some gods return, including Baldur, symbolizing light and hope. In Norse mythology, the apocalypse affirms the inevitability of death, but also the resilience of life and the continuity of the cosmos. Ragnarok reflects the Norse worldview, one shaped by the harsh and unpredictable environment of the North. It presents a universe where even gods are subject to fate, yet courage and loyalty endure beyond the grave. This belief in inevitable destruction followed by rebirth gave strength to a warrior culture that found meaning in struggle, honor, and the endurance of legacy. Jehovah's Witnesses present a distinctive view of the apocalypse grounded in their interpretation of the Bible. Known as Armageddon, this event is seen not just as the end of human governments, but as the decisive intervention of God's kingdom under Christ. According to their teachings, we are already living in the last days, a period marked by war, disease, and moral decline, fulfilled Bible prophecies. The culmination of this era is the Battle of Armageddon, during which Jesus, as King of God's kingdom, will destroy the wicked and purify the earth. After Armageddon, survivors will enter a paradise earth under divine rule. A resurrection will follow, granting billions the chance to learn righteousness and gain everlasting life. For Jehovah's Witnesses, The apocalypse is not a fiery doom but a transformation, an end to injustice, false religion, and suffering, followed by a global restoration under God's perfect government. This belief shapes the daily life and worldview of Jehovah's Witnesses, motivating a global preaching campaign and strict adherence to biblical morals. Their apocalyptic vision is not driven by fear, but by anticipation of a better world, one where humanity lives in harmony with God's original purpose. While often not associated with apocalypticism, certain Buddhist traditions, particularly in Theravada and Mahayana schools, contain visions of world cycles that end in decline and renewal. Time in Buddhism is cyclical, and the universe undergoes countless expansions and contractions. The current age is seen as one of moral decline, where the teachings of the Buddha, Dharma, are gradually lost. This degeneration leads to increasing suffering, chaos, and disharmony. Eventually, the world reaches a point where Dharma disappears entirely. It is then that a future Buddha, Maitreya, is prophesied to appear. Maitreya will renew the Dharma, teach enlightenment, and restore spiritual balance. Rather than a violent destruction, the Buddhist apocalypse is a spiritual crisis leading to renewal. It highlights the impermanence of all things and the need for personal responsibility in creating a better world. Unlike other traditions, Buddhist apocalyptic thinking focuses less on divine wrath and more on internal transformation. It encourages practitioners to cultivate wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness in anticipation of the world's rebirth. In this way, the apocalypse becomes a mirror for humanity's moral decline and a call to collective awakening. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through the world's apocalyptic beliefs, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that explore culture, history, and the human imagination. Let us know in the comments which belief surprised you the most.